I'm Danny and this is the Vegan Vamp.
Hello there everyone. Today on the Vegan Vamp I'm going to be showing you how to make a Northern Delight peas pudding. So this is actually taken from my Nana's recipe, but it is tweaked to be vegan. So normal traditional peas pudding is made by using ham stock. Obviously we're not going to be using that today, but we're going to give it a ham flavour by being a little bit sneaky and using liquid smoke and paprika. So that's just one way of doing it. Liquid smoke is something that's very popular in the US. They use it a lot to make the vegan pulled pork, and I use it for this. Anything if you want to have a bit of a smoky flavour. It can be tricky to get hold of here in the UK though. So I had a little search on the internet. You can buy it on Amazon. It's not cheap, but you don't use very much of it. Now I bought some in Texas and it's lasted me absolutely ages. So it's worth buying, it's worth paying the money and keeping it in your store cupboard. However, if you can't get the vegan smoke, you can use a vegan bacon alternative. And for this, I would recommend either the Vivera bacon pieces or the This Isn't Lardens. They both work really, really well. So what we're going to need today is a little bit of vegetable oil just to fry your onions, an onion, about a cupful of yellow split peas, and then 2 cups of water, the liquid smoke, paprika, and a little bit of salt and pepper to season. Oh, and I've got the vegan chicken flavoured oxo cube as well, so a little bit of stock there. You can use any kind of bouillon or stock that you like. So first up, we're going to cut the onion. This always makes me cry. I have got some onion cutting goggles, but they make me look a little bit like Dame Edna, and I don't know if you're ready for that yet. I don't know if they need to be seen on the Vegan Vamp quite yet. Maybe one day when I've got a lot of onions to cut, or a particularly spicy onion. Spicy? Do we call them spicy? What do we call them when they are very strong? A particularly strong onion, I guess. Okay. So this is actually going to get blended, so I don't need to be too careful about how I cut my onions. I don't need to be in tiny pieces. So I'm going to turn my stove on. Oops. And pop just a little bit of oil into the pan, just to fry the onion. I'm going to add the onion. So peas pudding would traditionally be eaten in a stotty, which is like a giant bap. Think of a normal bread bap, but bigger. And there's your stotty. And also as part of a Savoy dip, so you can get yourself a vegan Savoy, pop that inside your stotty with your peas pudding, and then dip it in gravy. It's a northern delicacy. Okay, so I'm ready to add the lentils. So I'm going to pour them in. I'm going to come and get some water. And I'm basically going to use double the amount of water than I did the lentils. So 1 bowl of lentils to 2 bowls of water. Keep an eye on it, because if the lentils do soak up all the water, you want to add a little bit more, but not too much. So eventually the peas pudding should be kind of a hummusy consistency, maybe slightly thicker than hummus, so not watery. So obviously if you do add a lot of water, it's going to be too watery, but at the same time you need the water there to cook the lentils. So just whilst that is beginning to boil, I'm going to crumble in my meat-free chicken flavoured oxo cube. And then I'm going to add a couple of dashes of the liquid smoke, not too much, it's quite strong, and half a teaspoon of the paprika. So if you can get a smoked paprika, then that adds to the flavour. Stir that all in and then bring it to the boil. So I'm not going to add the salt at the moment. So if you add salt while you're cooking lentils, the lentils take longer to cook. actually true. That's something my mum told me. She always adds the salt at the end. So I'm going to add the salt at the end, but I will add just a little bit of pepper. So just literally like the tip of a teaspoon of pepper in there. So had I soaked my lentils, I would have put my salt in now. And again, just salt it to your taste. So not too much. Okay, so it's just beginning to boil, so I'm going to turn the heat down and pop the lid on. You're going to want to simmer that for around about 30 minutes. Do come and check it every now and again just to make sure your lentils aren't sticking to the bottom, and to check if you need any more water. So if you need a bit more water, add a little bit more, not too much, but enough to cook the lentils without it becoming too runny once they're blended. So I'm going to leave that there, come back in about half an hour, and we should have something ready to blend. So you might have noticed the change of outfit. There was a slight technical hitch where I didn't quite hit record on the last few scenes of the last bit of cooking I did. So this is take 2. So I've had the peas pudding boiling for around about half an hour. So it's ready. I've let it cool down before I blend. You don't have to if you don't be careful. So I'm going to remove the lid. This is what we've got. So it still looks lentily, but it won't once it's blended. They're all soft, so
There's actually a little northern rhyme that my dad used to tell me when I was little. Peas pudding hot, peas pudding cold, peas pudding in the pot 9 days old. Some like it hot, some like it cold, some like it in the pot 9 days old. Personally, I like it warm on crusty bread.
So now we've blended it, we've got something that much more resembles the consistency of hummus. I can't tip it up too much. It's still a little bit runny. However, once you've put it in the fridge, it does begin to set a little bit. So I'm going to pour it out. Into a Tupperware. So there are still a few lumps, that's okay. And there you have it, a pot of peas pudding.